Hi everyone, welcome to section 7.1, review of graphs and slopes of lines. Hopefully by the end of this you all will be able to graph lines in a variety of formats. You'll be able to find the midpoint of a line segment and find the slope of a line. So first one we're going to do is talk about standard form. Standard form is in that ax plus by equals c format. And it's really easy to find intercepts in that format. The x-intercept is when the line crosses the x-axis. It happens where y is 0, and you just solve for the x value. The y-intercept happens when x is 0, and you solve for the y value. So what we're going to do is find the x and y intercepts, and then we're going to graph the equation 2x minus y equals 4. So for 2x minus y equals 4. If I want to find that x-intercept, the x-intercept happens when y is 0. So one little trick that you can do is just cover up the y because it's a 0 anyway. And so then you just have the equation 2x equals 4. So then if I solve for x from there, I divide both sides by 2 and get x equals 2. So my x-intercept, the x-coordinate would be 2, and the y-coordinate is always 0 in the x-intercept. Y-intercept, I'll do the same thing, except that this time x is 0. So I'll just cover up the little x part of it, and now what I have is negative y equals 4. So if I divide both sides by negative 1, I'll have my y-intercept happening with the y value of negative 4. So my x is 0, my y value is negative 4. And now we have 2 points which will form a line, and we'll plot those on our graph down here. The x-intercept is at 2, 0. The y-intercept is at 0, negative 4. And you can literally connect the dots to form your line. Okay. Next one, example 2. We're going to graph a couple of special case lines. We've got y equals 3, and then I've got x plus 2 equals 0. Okay. So with the graph y equals 3, basically what that means is that your y value is always going to be 3. If you get these mixed up, you can always make a quick table of values, like a little xy chart. And my y value is always going to be 3. So I'll just make a couple of points where my y value is 3 and choose a couple of x values. And you can choose anything you'd like to. I'll probably choose something between negative 10 and 10 so that it fits on my graph. How about, I don't know, 1 and 5. Those are nice little numbers. So now I've got the point 1, 3, the point 5, 3, and you can pick any point where the y value is 3. But when you connect the dots, you'll make a horizontal line here. Okay. The next one in part B was x plus 2 equals 0. And let's go ahead and solve that for x so it's in a better format. So x plus 2 equals 0. If I subtract 2 from both sides, that's the same thing as x equals negative 2. And yet again, if you get confused with these, you can always make a little xy chart. This is just saying that the x value is always going to be negative 2. So in my xy chart, I'll just have my x value always be negative 2. And you can pick y's, whichever numbers you like. How about, I don't know, 2 and 4, just to pick something different. And then you can plot your points. We'll have negative 2, 2. We'll have negative 2, 4. And we can connect the dots, and you can see that this one is a vertical line. Okay. So in general, vertical lines are going to take that format of x equals some number, and horizontal lines take a format of y equals a number. Alright, next one we have is 3x minus y equals 0. And this one is in standard form, so you're going to think, oh, intercepts are going to be a really great starting point here. So when you look at, let's say, the x-intercept happens when y is 0. So I'd have 3x equals 0. If you divide both sides by 3, x would be 0. And so you have the point 0, 0 as your x-intercept, and it's also going to be your y-intercept. So basically, what's going to happen here is instead of getting 2 different points, you're going to get the same point twice. which doesn't help you enough for graphing your line. You need two distinct points, two different ones. So basically what I would do from here is just pick a point, okay, to pick a second point. So we're kind of doing a little XY table here. So we've already got the point 0, 0. And then you get to pick something. So how about we just say, what happens when x is 1, just for example. And I'm just going to plug 1 in for x. So I'll have 3 times 1 minus y equals 0. And I'll just solve for the y coordinate that goes with 1. 3 times 1 is 3. So I'll have 3 minus y equals 0. If I subtract 3 from both sides, I'll have negative y equals negative 3. And then if I divide both sides by negative 1, I'll have a y value of positive 3. So now I have a second point. So now I can graph my line. So my first point was the point 0, 0. That's my x-intercept and my y-intercept. And I'll also have the point 1, 3. So that I can graph a line nicely. And I'll connect the dots to form a nice line. Okay? And in general, if you have that standard form and it equals 0 instead of a different number, it's always going to go through the origin. Alright, now it's your all's turn to try one and show me how much you've learned.